What if the reason you're exhausted, foggy, and aging faster than you should has nothing to do with your diet, your sleep, or your stress levels? What if it's happening inside a structure so small, scientists only discovered it 60 years ago, and monks mastered it 3,000 years before that? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes you're going to learn something that most doctors have never heard of, and every ancient lineage tried to protect. Here's what's actually happening inside your body right now. You have trillions of mitochondria, tiny cellular engines that produce every unit of energy your body runs on, every thought, every heartbeat, every moment of clarity or strength, all of it powered by these microscopic structures. But after 40, they start dying, not slowly, not gracefully. They collapse, they fragment, their membranes crack, their output drops, and they begin leaking toxic byproducts directly into your cells. Scientists call it mitochondrial dysfunction. You call it getting old. Your ATP production, the actual currency of biological energy, drops by nearly 50% between the ages of 40 and 70. That's not a metaphor. That's your cellular machinery running on half a tank, permanently. Your NAD+ levels, the molecule your mitochondria need to repair and replicate, fall off a cliff. Without NAD+, your cells can't fix their own damage. They accumulate errors. They age faster than they should. And here's the part nobody tells you. This process doesn't wait until you feel it. It starts decades before the symptoms arrive. The fatigue you feel at 3 in the afternoon, mitochondrial collapse. The brain fog that wasn't there at 35, mitochondrial collapse. The slow, stubborn weight that won't move no matter what you try. You already know the answer. Your body isn't betraying you. It's running out of power. And the clock is moving faster than you think. But here's what nobody tells you. There exists a practice, ancient, precise, and staggeringly effective, that directly targets this decay. Not by masking the symptoms, not by adding a supplement to compensate, but by triggering the body's own internal mechanism for building new mitochondria from scratch. It was practiced in the high monasteries of Tibet, where monks could raise their core body temperature in sub-zero conditions through breath alone. It was encoded in Taoist longevity texts dating back to the Han Dynasty, referenced obliquely, hidden from outsiders, as the method for cultivating what they called internal fire. In the Vedic tradition, it appears in the Upanishads as a specific pranayama technique, described not as a breathing exercise, but as a biological key. A method for accessing what the ancient teachers called pranavayu, the life force current that runs beneath ordinary breath. These weren't metaphors. These weren't spiritual poetry. They were instructions. Monks who practiced this technique lived decades beyond their contemporaries. Tibetan masters documented in historical records performed physical feats at 80 that would challenge most men at 40. In the Taoist lineages, this practice was considered so potent that it was transmitted only to advanced students. Never written plainly, always encoded. The question isn't whether these traditions knew something. The question is what, exactly, they knew. Modern science finally has an answer. In 2012, a landmark study published in Cell identified a protein called PGC1 alpha. It's a master regulator, a biological switch that, when activated, triggers the creation of new mitochondria inside existing cells. Scientists called this process mitochondrial biogenesis, the ability to literally grow new cellular batteries. Here's where it gets extraordinary. The two most powerful known activators of PGC1 alpha are controlled hypoxia, deliberate breath restriction that temporarily lowers oxygen, and cold exposure. Both create a form of biological stress scientists call hormesis, controlled stress that forces the body to adapt, rebuild, and emerge stronger. Tummo breathing, the core technique of this ancient tradition, does both simultaneously. When you perform the specific breath hold sequences in Tummo, your blood oxygen drops into a range that signals the body: adapt or fail. PGC1 alpha floods your system. Cold exposure compounds this effect through a separate pathway, triggering cold shock proteins, activating brown adipose tissue, and driving mitochondrial density in muscle cells. A 2019 study from the Netherlands found that practitioners of Wim Hof's method, which is directly derived from Tummo, showed measurable reductions in inflammatory markers and enhanced autonomic nervous system control. Control that science previously believed was impossible. A Harvard-affiliated study on telomere preservation found that breathwork and cold exposure protocols were associated with longer telomere length in middle-aged subjects. Telomeres are the protective caps on your DNA. When they shorten, you age. When they hold, you don't. This is not fringe science. This is peer-reviewed, replicated, and it maps perfectly onto what the ancient masters described in language their culture could understand. They didn't have PGC1 alpha, but they had the result. Now here's the technique itself. Practice this with an empty stomach, never in water, and ideally in the morning before food. This is a 3-phase protocol rooted in classical Tummo practice, adapted for daily use. Phase 1. Preparation. Sit upright, spine straight, hands resting on your knees. Take 30 deep, full breaths. Inhale through the nose, filling the belly first, then the chest. Exhale through the mouth, letting everything release completely. Don't pause between breaths. Build rhythm. Build momentum. You'll feel tingling in your hands and face. This is normal. This is the oxygen shift beginning. Phase 2. The hold. After your 30th breath, exhale completely. Push every last bit of air out and stop. Hold your breath. Don't inhale. Sit in the stillness. Your body will resist. Stay calm. You have more capacity than you think. Hold for as long as possible, ideally 60 to 90 seconds for beginners. This is where PGC1 alpha activation begins. This is where mitochondrial signaling fires. When you finally must breathe, take one deep, full inhale through the nose. Hold that inhale for 15 seconds, pressing the breath gently into your chest and skull. Then release. That completes one round. Phase 3. Repetition and cold. Perform 3 to 4 rounds of this sequence. After the final round, you move immediately to cold exposure. 30 to 90 seconds of cold water, face, neck, and upper body minimum. This cold shock activates a second wave of mitochondrial response, compounding the biogenesis signal from the breathwork. Together, they don't just add up, they multiply. Do this 4 to 5 days per week. Morning is optimal. Consistency over intensity. The body adapts in layers, and the deepest adaptations come after weeks 2 and 3. Now let me tell you what happens when you commit to this. In the first week, most men report a shift in afternoon energy. The 3 o'clock collapse softens. Mental clarity sharpens in the mornings. By week 3, something deeper begins. Sleep quality changes. Recovery accelerates. A baseline energy appears. Steady, clean. Not the artificial spike of stimulants, but the real thing. The kind you remember having in your 30s. By week 8, the changes become structural. Your mitochondria are proliferating. Your cells are repairing damage faster than they accumulated. Your inflammatory baseline, the slow fire that drives aging at every level, begins to cool. This is what the ancient masters called rejuvenation. Not metaphor, not optimism. A literal biological reversal of the decay pattern most men over 40 consider inevitable. You are not fated to decline. You are fated to adapt. That is what biology does when you give it the right signal. The monks in the Himalayas didn't have blood panels or PGC1 alpha assays, but they had something we're only beginning to recover. The understanding that the body is not a passive machine wearing down. It is a dynamic system waiting for instruction. You just learned the instruction. If this opened something for you, if something in this felt true before your mind could verify it, then you already understand why this knowledge was protected for so long. It works. And things that work have always been dangerous to those who profit from your decline. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Stay close to this channel. There is more coming, and the next piece will go even deeper than this one. The most powerful thing you can do for your biology is begin. Not tomorrow, not after more research. Today.